Team members sitting at the head table, please stand up. Frank, you can use the mic or not. You've got a nice deep voice.
We'll try. It's really a question for the four candidates for selectmen. Something has happened in the community that I think has disturbed a number of us, and that is the departure of the chief. And I just wanted to hear very briefly where you stand as far as, do we need a chief? And if you think we should have a chief, a reason why. And if you don't think we need a chief, a brief reason. And I'd really throw it open to the four. To be fair, is it possible for each one to?
Sure.
Yeah. So. Chief of police. Yep. Yep.
I'll answer that. I'll stop the forum on that. I honestly do think we need a chief of police in this town. I am also a victim of needing police assistance in this town over the years. And we've only had Joe in our community for a short time. Prior to Joe coming, we were left with the state police as a dispatch. Franklin or Bristol wouldn't come to our calls on an emergency basis. So it was dispatched to Troop D, which is in Concord. So if you have an emergency on a level of, let's call Bike Week, most of our state troopers are all the way over in Laconia. We have an emergency here. We're getting dispatched to Troop D. I had that happen one weekend, and nobody showed up. So, in my own opinion, yes, we do need a chief of police. And we need one that is willing to take the time and, work with the community, one, and it's within our budget to have one. It's just finding the right fit. Joe was a really good fit, in my opinion. And I think that the board now, because I attended the meeting yesterday, that they are intending on hiring a chief. It's just right now we have to revert to state dispatch until that happens.
Anyone else?
First off, Frank, I just want to say thanks for your role in being a...
You need to use the microphone.
Hello? Hi. I just want to say thanks for being selectman. When I first came, you were sitting there, and, I got to watch the interactions. And when you stepped down, I thought it was a loss, for the select board in general. And partly motivated me to, I didn't know who was running, but, to have a functional select board is really, it's really important in a small town. So, thank you for the time that you spent doing that. In terms of the police, I thought Joe was, a great resource. And the thing about Joe, he was here just long enough that he basically knew who everyone was and what everyone was up to. And right at the point when he really could have impacted, he left. And we've fallen way back behind, and it's going to take a long time for that, whoever that magic new person is. We have high expectations, but for that person to get that knowledge base back up and identify, people and problems and, have a strategy is going to take some time. In the meantime, I hope it's a fast hire, because right where I live, absolutely, we need coverage. And, Joe used other resources, regionally as well to cover this town, because there's substantial activity in this town. There's more than people jaywalking and, whatnot going on. So I hope that we hire a policeman. And when I was in Vermont, the Waterbury Center, they gave up their police force to go with the state police force. And they did it as a cost-saving thing. There's 16 hours of coverage a day. And it was never as good as having, your own local policeman. So I support hiring a policeman.
I too support having a full-time police chief or policeman. And thanks, Frank, for the question. And for those that don't know, I filled Frank's vacant seat, so I'm currently the interim selectman. We have been working on bringing in the new police chief. The job has been posted or will be posted soon, if it hasn't been posted already. So we'll be working on that in the very near future. As it's been stated by one other person, they were in need of help by the police department. And I've had the same situation a few times over the past several years where I've had problems at my house and needed help by police. One time I had to call the state police and they had to come from Canaan. So it took them 45 to 60 minutes to get to my house. By then it was too late. So yeah, we definitely need a police chief in town. I'm in full support of hiring another police chief.
I agree, we need a police chief. We have enough community here, and there's enough problems in our community that we should have someone here to be able to rely on to take care of those problems in-house, let's say, in town. State police are a great asset, but as the other candidate said, they can't always be here right away. Our local police knows the people, knows the ins and outs, knows the back roads and all that type of stuff. So I definitely support a police chief in Town of Hill.
Anyone else? No? Next question. Oh, come on.
All right, we're done.
You all turned up for one question? Seriously?
That was the big question.
I know, huh?
Well, Nathan Mills, one question, what I've noticed working with the selectman's office and everything is the need to modernize and work on the interdepartment communications, just the way how funding is handled, how department heads all talk to each other, and modernizing our office and how we do business. And I just kind of want to see what your guys' thoughts are on that. Do you have any suggestions into modernizing that office and how our intergovernment works?
I don't have a lot of experience in the office and how the departments talk to each other or get along. I do have a lot of experience in my business dealing with the police chief and the fire department, fire chief and the selectmen. Sometimes there can be a miscommunication or a communication gap. I definitely see a need for more prominent and more straightforward talk. A lot of times there's a say what I say, but that's not what I meant.
Communication is very important between departments.